how to learn so fast it seems illegal. Okay, real talk for a second. You've sat down to study, you've got the book open, the notes ready, maybe even a fresh cup of coffee, and then nothing. An hour goes by, 2 hours, you close everything, your eyes are tired, and you realize you don't actually remember a single thing you just read. Not one thing. And the worst part? You start thinking it's you. Like maybe you're just not built for this. Maybe some people are just smarter or faster or, I don't know, wired differently. But here's the thing. That's not it at all. The problem isn't your brain. The problem is the method, and nobody ever taught you the right one. You were handed a highlighter, a textbook, and basically told, figure it out. That's like throwing someone into the ocean and calling it a swimming lesson. So today, we're actually going to fix that. Now, before we get into anything, I want you to think about a guy named Scott Young, because what he did is honestly kind of hard to believe when you first hear it. Scott decided to take the entire 4-year MIT computer science curriculum and complete it in 1 year. Not audit it, not skim it, complete it, with the test scores to back it up. And then, wait, it gets better, the very next year he learned 4 languages: Portuguese, French, Mandarin, and Korean. All of them conversational fluency. 12 months. Now you might be sitting there thinking, okay, this guy's just a genius, but that's actually not what happened. What Scott had wasn't some supernatural brain. He had a system, a specific repeatable method that he later broke down in a book called Ultra Learning. And once you understand it, you'll see it's something anyone can use. Let's go through it. The first thing, and honestly most people completely skip this, is building the map before you start. Think about it this way. If you're driving somewhere you've never been, you don't just get in the car and start driving. You check the route. You figure out where the traffic is, how long it'll take, what road to avoid, right? That's just obvious. But when it comes to learning something new, most people just start. They open a random YouTube video, maybe buy a course they'll never finish, maybe start on chapter 1 of a book, and then 6 months later they've spent all this time and energy on stuff that didn't actually matter. Here's the fix. Before you touch a single piece of content, spend about 10% of your total study time just researching how to learn the thing. Find someone who already knows it. Ask what the biggest beginner mistakes are. Ask what's actually essential versus what most people waste time on. Honestly, 3 days of that kind of research can save you months of going in circles. That's not an exaggeration. That's just what happens when you stop wandering and start moving with a direction. Okay, so you've got your map, you know where you're going, and then most people still get stuck because they fall into what might be the sneakiest trap in all of learning. They're not actually learning, they're watching learning happen. You know what this looks like. You reread the chapter, you watch the lecture again, you rewrite your notes in a different color, and it feels productive. It genuinely does. There's this comfortable sense of, yeah, I'm getting this. But scientists actually have a name for that feeling. They call it the illusion of knowing. And it's dangerous precisely because it feels real. You think you understand something right up until the moment you actually have to use it, and then everything goes blank. Your brain doesn't learn by consuming information. It learns by struggling with it, by actually doing the thing. So if you want to speak a language, you have to speak it. With real people from week 1, even if all you know is hello and where's the bathroom. If you want to code, you have to build something, even if it breaks, even if it's a mess. If you want to write, you have to write badly and often and in public. That discomfort you feel when you first start doing the real thing, that's not failure. That's your brain actually building something. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because what you do after a study session might matter more than the study session itself. Back in 1885, yeah, we're going back a while, a German psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus ran a series of experiments on memory. And what he found should have completely changed the way schools teach. It kind of didn't, which is frustrating, but anyway. He discovered that without any kind of review, we forget roughly 70% of new information within 24 hours, not in a week, not over time, within 1 day. He called it the forgetting curve, and it explains everything. It's why you can study for 3 hours, feel completely confident, go to sleep, and wake up the next morning barely able to remember what subject you were studying. The solution isn't to study longer, it's to review smarter. You look at something today, you review it tomorrow for 5 minutes, then again in 3 days, then a week later. Those tiny 5-minute reviews, they're worth more than 2 more hours of rereading the same thing. Way more, because of what happens in your brain during retrieval. Which leads us to probably the most powerful technique here, and also the one most people use completely wrong. Active recall. Here's the idea. When you try to remember something, not look at it, not reread it, but actually pull it out of your brain from scratch, you're forcing your brain to rebuild that memory. Every single time you do that, the pathway gets stronger. It's like a muscle. The strain is the point. Research by psychologists Karpecki and Roediger actually showed this directly. Retrieving information from memory improves long-term retention far more than restudying the same material, like it's not even close. So here's what this looks like in real life. You study for 20 minutes, then you close everything, grab a blank piece of paper and write down, from memory, everything you just learned. No peeking. When you hit a wall, when you get to something you just can't remember, that's your map. That's exactly what needs more attention. Not the whole chapter, just that specific gap. This one shift alone can cut your study time significantly while actually improving what you retain. Most people never try it because it feels harder. And yeah, it is harder. That's why it works. All right, last piece. And this one's important. None of these techniques work exactly the same for everyone. Scott Young talks about this a lot, the idea that learning is an experiment, not a formula. Some people absorb information better visually, others through audio or teaching it to someone else. Some people are sharper at 6 a.m., others don't hit their focus peak until midnight. Some learn faster alone, others need the accountability of a partner. There is no single perfect method, there's only the method you test, observe, and refine for yourself. The fastest learners aren't the ones who found the secret, they're the ones who treat their own brain like something worth studying. So you try things, you pay attention to what's actually working, and you cut what isn't. So to bring it all together, map before you start, practice the real thing immediately, test yourself from memory instead of rereading, review at increasing intervals, and keep experimenting until the method fits you. The reason this feels almost illegal is because we've been taught that learning means grinding, more hours, more highlighting, more willpower. But the science points somewhere else entirely. It's not about working harder, it's about working in a way that actually matches how your brain builds memory. Here's your challenge. Take one thing you've been trying to learn and apply just one of these principles this week. Just one. See what happens. And if you know someone who keeps saying they're going to learn something but never quite starts, send them this. Sometimes all someone needs is the right method, not more motivation. The method. The knowledge was always there. Now you've got something to do with it.